Hello and welcome to Stitching a Page for Interwoven Stories, a community-based stitching project created by Diana Weymar at the Arts Council of Princeton. I'm Kyle Burkhart. Let's stitch a piece of fabric so that it resembles a paper notebook page. This machine-stitched fabric page is the base for hand embroidering your interwoven story. Cut a piece of fabric into a rectangle that's 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches tall. Fabrics such as quilting cotton or a cotton bedsheet are perfect for this. Don't use stretchy fabrics like knits or stretch wovens. They're not stable enough for this project. Using a pencil, lightly draw a horizontal line across the top of the page, 1 3/8 of an inch from the edge. Then draw a vertical line down the left side, also 1 3/8 inch from the edge. At this point, you have 3 options. Option 1 is to go directly to your sewing machine and use the edge of your presser foot as a guide to stitch all of the blue lines. Option 2 is to align a paper notebook page with the fabric page. Line up the first line of the paper page with the top line of the fabric page, then draw tick marks along the left side of the page to help guide you as you stitch the page. For college or narrow ruled paper, these marks are 7 millimeters apart. You may want to draw tick marks along the right side of the page, again using the paper page as your guide. If you want to stitch a wide ruled page, the tick marks are 9 millimeters apart. Mark them on the left and on the right side of the page. Your page will look like this, with a vertical line, a horizontal line, and tick marks on the left and right sides. Option 2 with wide ruled spacing is the method I will use in the rest of this tutorial. If you prefer to stitch over every line on the page, then option 3 is for you. Use a light box and a ruler to trace all lines. Or tape the paper to a sunny window, tape the fabric over the paper, and then use a ruler to trace every line. This is the result of option 3. Now it's time to head to the sewing machine. Your machine settings may vary, but a stitch length of 2.5 millimeters is a good length. Here are a few tips to set yourself up for success. Change your needle. Thread your machine in light blue thread. Stitch a sample on a scrap of fabric. Fix any tension issues. I want to note that we are going to break several sewing rules. That's right, we're not going to backstitch, we're not cutting threads down to the fabric. We're not hemming the fabric, and we're not zigzagging or serging the raw edges either. It's also not about perfection. The page should have the spirit of a notebook page, not be an exact replica. And also remember that some or a lot of the machine stitching will be covered by your hand embroidery. Place the fabric on the machine bed. The needle is at the raw edge of the page's left side. Here is another view. Do not backstitch. Begin stitching. When you reach the right side of the page, do not backstitch. Cut the threads. You don't need to clip the threads down to the fabric. Now, let's stitch the second line. Align the edge of the presser foot with the blue line. Here's another view of that. Then move the needle over so the second row is the desired width away from the first row. For wide ruled pages, that is 9 millimeters. College ruled is 7 millimeters. Using the right edge of the presser foot as a guide, stitch the second line. Now your page looks like this. Stitch the third row, and so on and so forth until you reach the end of the page. It's time to stitch the pink line. Thread your sewing machine with pink thread. Make a sample first to make sure the stitching looks good. Start at the top edge, close to the raw edge, and stitch to the bottom. Now the page is really starting to look like a notebook page. It's time to punch the holes. The fabric might not easily slide into the 3-hole punch. Use an awl to push the fabric all the way into the puncher. Look at the back to verify the raw edge of the fabric is touching the back of the puncher, then punch the fabric. If the fabric doesn't easily release from the puncher, do not forcibly pull it. The fabric will rip. Instead, flip it over and remove the back of the puncher. Use the eraser end of a pencil to push the stuck puncher in until it's released. Voila! Your notebook page is now created. It really looks like notebook paper. Here are a few close-ups. If you decided to stitch with college ruled spacing, the page will look like this. Here's a side-by-side comparison of wide versus college ruled fabric pages. Your fabric page is ready for hand embroidery. Enjoy embroidering your interwoven story. Thanks for watching!